there, folks, and welcome to The Game Buzz, the weekly podcast from us here at dealspine.com, where we dive ass first into the week's news. I'm Matt Garland. I'm joined once again by Carl Phillips.
What up?
And by Jonathan Lester.
Hiya.
And we're going to kick things off this week with a little look at the loot cave in Destiny and a number of things that Bungie have said that they're changing about the game. We got a bunch of hot fixes, and we got a bunch of sort of proclamations about where the game's headed this week. And some of these things are pretty controversial. John, you wrote an article yesterday basically lamenting the fact that one of the most compelling things in Destiny has been people standing still shooting a hole in the ground.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to retread over old ground, but I think that for me, the loot cave is almost like a symbol of personally what I think's wrong with Destiny. Like, you can do loads of stuff, but you see people like who could be doing strikes, who could be playing in the Crucible, who could be doing patrol missions and all those other things, not doing that because shooting at a hole in the ground feels more rewarding, like more satisfying, like it's getting them what they want more than doing actually all of this stuff that Bungie, all of this other stuff that Destiny provides.
That's actually something that we found.
Yeah. The problem with the loot cave isn't the loot cave isn't the problem. The problem is that everything else should feel more satisfying. That's the thing. It's about that feeling of satisfaction, that feeling of like that you are getting the stuff you want. The like core engagement of the game. And I don't know. For me, the loot cave just, you know, people are getting together for almost these public events surrounding this loot cave rather than doing the actual public events, because they felt less rewarding. They felt like they weren't getting the loot they want, and they weren't even having as much fun. That's the thing. If the public events were really, 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 really fun, then a lot of people would just do that.
I don't think that's it at all.
Going over old ground.
Yeah.
But for me, that's like,
I don't think it's a fact about it being fun. They could have been the most fun things in the world. The problem was the reward was not up to par with it. That was the issue. That's the reason why people were using the loot cave, because the rewards were there by doing something that was absolutely monotonous and boring, frankly. I mean, you look at the video that we did, Matt. We made our own fun by coming up with sort of like ways that we thought might speed up the process of them coming out, like by swearing or insulting them and stuff like that. This is the issue, the fact that the rewards didn't equal the epicness of the content that was out there. I say epicness, but the fun factor of the content out there. And I just think it's funny because, I mean, I've seen reaction over Twitter and on Bungie's forums and things like that. People going absolutely nuts about how dare you take away our loot cave? How dare you? To be honest, I just laugh at the just pure, I'm just trying to think of the word now, just the not the ignorance, but sort of like innocence of them saying, well, they're not going to patch that. Of course they were going to patch that. That was an abuse of the mechanics that was there. But as you pointed out, it's a reflection of the fact that it just wasn't rewarding to do the rest of the content in Destiny.
I think it's a mismatch of it's kind of a mashup of both things. Like it's both that the content is flawed in terms of repetition, because enemies act the same way. Like John, you said this before, like as fun as the gunplay is, as fun as like Bungie are really good at creating the feeling of a gun in your hands and the sort of feedback from that and jumping around and using all these cool powers. That's awesome. But the enemies have been fairly uninspired. You mentioned set pieces in that article as well. We haven't really seen any. The strikes actually, while probably the best parts of that kind of PvP side of the game, the bosses are actually fairly similar. They're all bullet sponges with attacks that never change. And the only new content that people who've reached the end game are seeing, and you've got to slog through 6 levels of loot grinding to get there, is this single raid that people have been spamming the loot cave for just to get there. And it's everything, really. It's the content side of things, and it's the fact that the reward system is completely like it's convoluted and doesn't make sense, and it's completely opaque. Like you can't. It's completely random, seemingly, and the fact that progression after level 20 is inconsistent at best and fucking annoying at worst. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But at least they seem. The thing is, they seem to have. It annoys me the way they talked about the loot cave. They say like, "Oh, the hive of the holy treasure cave."
It's like, oh my god, could you be more up your own ass?
Yeah, like, nah, you screwed that up, Bungie, and yeah, Carl, as you said, that needed to be fixed. It was a mistake. It was an exploit. But you know, they then started saying, "Oh, it was great that they, you know, we provided this accidental, amazing new social thing." But nah, I contend that the feeling like of being rewarded is just as important as any sort of actual loot reward or any sort of actual currency reward. Like that feeling of attaining stuff. And I think that when you come to a shooter, like that comes from the gameplay as well. It doesn't just come from progression. But the thing is, I still agree with your review. I still think Destiny is a good game. It just it annoys me that like I play other Bungie games obsessively that don't have that progression system, or even in modes that don't have that progression system, because I want to like relive all those amazing moments from all the Halo campaigns, all those great set pieces, all those missions. And this isn't Halo, but I feel that they could have learned just. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on this, Matt. There should have been some single player levels, and then the rest of this content. But yeah, it's interesting some of this stuff they're talking about. I like the fact that they're tuning auto rifles a little bit, because while I love my pulse rifle, I got to be honest, my auto rifles just deal more DPS at range.
Yeah. I like the fact that they're upgrading scout
they're
rifles
tuning that. That's good.
Yeah.
Absolutely, scout rifles. Yeah, like
so that's basically DMR, rifle, really.
Like, exactly. I was like, this is my DMR. And it was like, oh, well, it's not. It's not. It's like just a much weaker sniper rifle.
Yeah.
But yeah, hand cannons are still immense, I think, is the take-home message here.
Yep.
And if there's one thing you can rely on Bungie to do is to make just epic pistols. Pistols that feel really, really great to use on holes in the ground and the respawn.
Well, not anymore. They've completely changed that now. So yeah, go get your fun elsewhere. Although I do want to make a point that the other thing that they did change with that hotfix, and this has really annoyed me, because it makes the latest video that we did completely out of date in terms of our comment. The fact that the rewards you get the legendary rewards you get for the Queen's Wrath kill orders can no longer be disassembled into the Ascendant Shards.
Yeah, that's annoying.
That's stupid, because basically I think there are only 2 pieces of armor you can get from it, and that's a head and the chest. And after that, it's why run it? Why even bother doing it? If those are the only 2 pieces, and as Matt, you've shown, all you've had are helms. That's it.
That's really annoying.
It's like, what's the point? What is the point in doing that at all? If you're not getting any decent loot after 2 pieces, and you can't even turn that into something that can be useful for end game. It's just pointless and stupid.
And the thing is, like in a normal game, or rather, just sort of, I guess in a more sort of traditional RPG, or even, you know, in Destiny before level 20, I would have agreed with you, John, in terms of loot being secondary to content. But the thing is, they've tied loot into content. I cannot reach this motherfucking raid until I get up to level 26, and so grinding for loot becomes crucially important to get the awesome content that Bungie have gone, this is awesome, you want to get into this, and yet they're making it incredibly hard for me to do that. And it's not helped either. I'm really pissed off as well by the respawn timers being upped, because that's just going to make the world feel more empty for more periods of time.
Yeah,
what are you doing, Bungie?
In that regard, you're right. The players are being sort of punished for that, but it's. I mean, the thing is, they have said in that post that they do realise that these are the things that, like, in terms of helping people get to the raids, they do realise that it needs fixing, and yeah, hopefully they'll sort it out. But in the meantime, people are going to go away in their droves. I can see it. People are just going to get bored. I mean, you look at the next few weeks, there are loads of quite good games coming out.
They're running out of time.
They are really running. It needs to be done yesterday, but in reality, they've got the next week to sort it. If they don't get it done by next Friday, well, it will be interesting to see Destiny try and pull it back.
Something that they also talked about in a longer kind of info drop or like roadmap for the future, voice comms. Now, this is something that a lot of people have been quite annoyed about, that they haven't been able to sort of communicate. It looks like all players are going to be able to communicate if they opt in. There's going to be like an opt-in service that's going to be coming in terms of like match-made activities, and then they're looking to hopefully widen that out into further public spaces. Have you guys missed voice comms much in Destiny? I mean, we've done a lot of stuff just having Skype on.
Yeah.
And then
so I've missed it. I've missed it hugely because thing is, I can't play it with you guys.
Yeah.
I'm on Xbox One, and voice comms or just a chat window or anything. That's how, like, just take Guild Wars 2. I'm not trying to compare it to Guild Wars 2, but like I go out there and do my solo campaign and do loads of solo stuff. But then I meet people in a public event, and then I can type, "Hey guys, do you want to hang out?" I don't just wave at them, or like point at them, or like dance at them. I can actually say, "Hey guys, do you want to get together and party up?" Or just say, "Hey, thanks for that," because for some reason Destiny put in a sit down emote instead of a thumbs up emote or a bow emote,
or like a fist bump,
thank you, or like a thank you emote. That's really annoying. Like, I mean, there's the dance, yeah, but that's you could be displaying an awful lot of emotions. I mean, it mainly use that thing for trolling and also for fun times. But they need to bring that in. I need to, when someone like, if I am out doing some patrol missions, and I like the patrol missions, they make me feel like being a guardian is actually my day job. And if I'm out there and someone saves my ass, and then I want to be able to say, "Thanks, mate." Not just do a little dance. I want to be able to do that, and then maybe we could go and shoot the loot cave. Oh no, wait, that's not. but I think that's It's good. They've identified that. It's good. They know that, and I think the opt-in system is a good idea. But even still, like that should affect the open world as well. There should be 2 opt-ins, like open world and during match-made activities. I reckon.
Yeah, I think it would be. I think you're right. They need to have that in there. They need to have some way of communicating in fashions other than pointing and plonking your ass down. Actually, mentioning the loot cave, Carl and I had. This is how ridiculous the situation has gone. Carl and I were getting increasingly annoyed with a guy who was not doing the loot cave properly yesterday. He was not shooting the hole in the ground in the proper fashion for maximizing
poor cave etiquette. Basically,
it was very poor, and there was no way we could inform him of that or help him maximize his loot grinding, aside from just sort of pointing. Shotgunning him in the face, which obviously, there's no friendly fire, so that doesn't work at all. And trying to use the sparrow to sort of shunt him backwards.
Yeah, that didn't even work either. I tried it so hard, but the collision when you're not in a group isn't there, which was annoying.
It was just ridiculous.
So, well, we don't have to worry about that anymore. But yeah, that does highlight the lack of communications.
That's never going to be a problem again now.
No,
Loot cave's been nerfed. So yeah, that's Destiny Watch for the week. Yay! Woo! Interesting changes coming. Can we just have some more content, please? And actually, mentioning Guild Wars 2. I'm glad you mentioned Guild Wars 2, John. Because, yeah, if you've watched our game night this week, you'll know that I was quite enamored with Guild Wars 2's approach to emergent public events. Like, my first half an hour, I was in double figures for public events. And they were fairly diverse. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were quite familiar, but, like, Guild Wars 2 managed to frame each one in slightly different fashion, which that's dressing, but it works, right? It makes things feel slightly fresh, slightly dynamic. That's awesome. Bungie, take note, because even
more spider tanks. I'm sorry, spider tanks should be dropping down.
Absolutely.
All the time. Like there should be all the time you should be seeing these huge spider tanks dropping down from orbit. Like seriously, once a minute even.
I completely agree. They need to make those more prevalent because there's one bounty where it's like kill 3 of them, and it's like there's only one place that I know where they regularly spawn. It's just like, for God's sakes. I mean,
they're not even in a set piece in the campaign.
No, yeah, it's a strike mission, isn't it? The only place that they are. And this is the thing when you look at like Guild Wars 2. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is kind of like the same stuff, but I think the big difference between the two games is Guild Wars 2 has NPCs. Destiny does not in its open world, and that's I think the big difference and the reason why we don't have as many public events as there are.
It does make the world of Guild Wars 2 feel a bit more lived in and alive. And
I mean, yeah,
I know the loneliness and the
it is
sort of makes sense in terms of Destiny's lore and the time within that. Although you wouldn't know that unless you've gone to the fucking website. But there must be a way to just drop in more awesome. They have ships come in and replenish the foot soldiers of the Fallen and the Hive and the Vex and the Cabal. Like, have them come in and drop like spider flies, like mutant fly tanks, like choppers and like weird spacey weird things that haven't been seen before. That are massive.
The whole time I was just willing. I just wanted to see a bunch of pelicans come over the horizon, drop some warthogs in, drop a scorpion in, and then drop a scarab in, drop a massive freaking scarab in, and say, right, players, do it. But yeah, I think, public events are a great way of funneling players in an open environment together. I still don't think Destiny has necessarily enough. I'd like to see the player count up a bit as well. I want to be encountering a few more people, but it could partly be because I'm playing it on Xbox One. But yeah, I think the thing is, Bungie clearly knows this, and this is good. I don't want to keep ragging on them because they've identified these as issues, and they say they're going to fix them, and they shouldn't have been issues to begin with. But okay, like it's on you now, Bungie. You fix it, then hell yeah. I want to be playing Destiny next year.
Yeah. I
do. I want to be firing my lovely hand cannon. Seriously, thanks for the suggestion about using the hand cannon. That's hand cannon. I want to be doing that next year. So make the £34 DLC.
That's been the worry, isn't it? That's been the worry that they're saving the good stuff for that.
And they clearly have. We'll see what happens. But at least, Bungie are a developer who are at least sort of, the way they're phrased it is annoying, but they are sort of identifying these issues, and they're being fairly forthright about things that don't work. Things like some of the longer range shotguns being a bit too viable at range. They've identified that the scout rifle's a problem. It's nice to see a developer taking a bit of responsibility, isn't it?
Yeah, seeing what they've done wrong. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah. You see where I'm going?
I see where you're going with this.
Do it. Bring it. Finish my segue. I've done the hard work. I've set it up for you.
Yes, we've mentioned a developer that's, good at communication. Let's talk about one that isn't. Let's talk about Double Fine and let's talk about Spacebase. What an omnishambles.
Yeah, we're bringing that word back. Yeah, it's very appropriate.
I've been watching a lot of the thick of it. I've been introducing my girlfriend to the thick of it.
Ah, right, yes.
So, omnishambles is everywhere. And Spacebase is certainly that.
It's just a really shameful display. I've written an article about why this whole thing was mishandled, but in case you don't know, the short version is that Double Fine launched the game on early access. It got to version 0.6. At which point they put out a press release saying, the game's coming out! Frabjous Day, well done everyone. It's a fantastic journey, but now it's finally coming out. We're jumping right up to version 1.0, and just as an additional favour to you guys, we're releasing the source code too. And isn't that great? And you can put in all the extra features you want. You can mod it, guys. And didn't mention the fact that what had actually happened is that they ran out of money. And that was it. They just instead of delivering on all the features that they'd promised to, not necessarily promised to implement, but at least promised to look at and promised to have a crack at and promised to iterate on, they just deleted those features off the internet and tried to phrase this massive failure, this massive mismanagement as some sort of triumph. And naturally, it didn't take long for players and pundits and everyone to look at them and say, this isn't acceptable. You've done this completely wrong.
Yeah, and this isn't the first time that Double Fine have struggled in terms of their sort of more pragmatic management and sort of production scheduling and budgeting and, you know, planning. And I mean, we had the fiasco with Broken Age when it suddenly went from being one game to half a game, with the other half of a game coming slightly later. And then you wondered why they paid Elijah Wood all that money. And it's kind of like, what are you doing? Tim Schafer's always had, I mean, I love Tim Schafer's games. I love his creative. I love his creativity. I love his design visions. I love many of the games that he's made. But you start to see, and we said this with Broken Age before, you start to see why publishers considered his studio to be a liability.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel horrible saying that, but
yeah,
it's right there in front of us. And Spacebase is probably the clearest indication of this, that it's pretty shameful. Like
yes. Now the thing about Broken Age is that yes, it was mismanaged and bloated, and they needed producers who were willing to say no, and to say no to Tim Schafer. They let that project sort of bloat out of all proportion and out of their budget, and they didn't have a plan and stick to it. But you can kind of just about forgive Broken Age for that, because the plan, there was no plan, really.
Yeah.
They just said, give us some money and we'll make a game. That's kind of how crowdfunding works. The thing about crowdfunding is you're not actually entitled to even a finished project. It's effectively a donation because you like an idea.
Yeah.
But Spacebase is a whole different ballgame, because they promised that these features would be, they represented that they were going to add all these features, that there was months of development ahead of it. The point about, like, the whole point of early access is that you get access to the development cycle, that the developers keep you up to date with the latest news in an honest and forthright way. Like the best projects, like loads of early access projects that I'm involved in, tell me the bad news. You know, they say, we can't do this feature. We think there's going to be a delay. This is harder than we thought it would be. We're really sorry, guys. Please bear with us. There could be a problem here ahead of time. But Double Fine, every step of the way, said, yeah, everything's fine, everything's cool, and failed to mention that their entire project was collapsing. Didn't tell anyone. And then, this for me, like, yeah, there's lots of slack you can cut them. Yeah, they work in a very expensive area. Yeah, they pay their employees fairly. Yeah, okay, the early access model has inherent risks, but 2 weeks before this announcement, they ran a Steam sale. They ran a Steam sale on the game. Did they mention that the project was at serious risk of collapse? Because these things don't happen overnight. They must have known this weeks, if not months, in advance. Did they say to players, by the way, there's a good risk that you're buying into a prototype that effectively will never be properly finished, and that this is a last-ditch effort to get just that little bit of extra funding? They didn't say that. They said, hey, guys, look, there's this discount on a game that's going to blossom into this wonderful thing. Look at these features that we're going to add. Features that they knew ahead of time that they probably wouldn't be able to deliver on. And that is shocking. It's dishonest. And then, worst of all, that spin afterwards, coming out and saying, yeah, version 1.0, what an amazing triumph. No, Double Fine. The thing is, I didn't even buy the Spacebase DF-9. But it makes me so angry that a developer who should know better, a developer who's already been slapped across the face for their weak communication in a game that, you know, Broken Age, the whole point was, yeah, communication, you're going to be a part of this process. And then one day came out and said, yeah, we cut the game in half.
It's crazy to think that The Cave was the most stable game they've actually released. I just want to put that out there. Like, it's crazy because that game was all right, but not brilliant. But at least it made it out in one piece and was exactly as they promised it would be. It's just, that's just.
Well, yeah. What I find more ironic is that when they actually work with a publisher, they come out with stuff like Costume Quest and Costume Quest 2. They're out on time. They work. Costume Quest 2 is on course. And, you know, probably could provide them with another revenue stream, put into Spacebase DF-9. They could be bothered, but they probably need all developers on hand. So when is the second half of Broken Age coming out?
I thought it was supposed to be over the summer.
It's supposed to be before 2015. So I don't know. I kind of suspect that they just want all hands on deck.
Was Broken Age January? Was it like top of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at the time they were saying like April, May.
Yeah.
That just got pushed back and back and back and back and back. And to be fair, I'd actually forgotten all about it because I was very disappointed with the first half of Broken Age because it's half a game. It was supposed to be a full game. You can see it in there, and then it became half a game. But as you say, there's a big difference between crowdfunding, and I mean that was a bad situation. This is frankly deplorable because of that Steam sale, because of the ridiculous spin, because, as we've said time and time again over the past few years, it doesn't matter if you're large or small. Communication and honesty matters, and it doesn't matter. Like, this is the thing we've been seeing over the last couple of months. People want transparency. In terms of consumers want transparency. They want transparency for their press. They want transparency from developers. And you said it in the article. Early access is a matter of trust. You have put down money for something based on whatever the developer's written. If the developer's written everything's okay, and then suddenly turns around and goes, "Oh, it's not." That's, as you said, it's fucking disingenuous. And
yeah, after the fact, and only admit it after the fact.
Yeah,
only admit it after saying, "Congratulations, mission accomplished." Like, that's and you know what, Carl? I completely agree with you, man. Steam needs to take that off the store.
Absolutely. The War Z.
They need to take it off.
Yeah, if the War Z did it, and I mean, admittingly, as you pointed out to me, like they did it in kind of different circumstances, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It was false advertising, and they should be made an example of, because many people have now said they do not trust Double Fine at all,
and they deserve it. They deserve every lost sale, every disgruntled fan who won't buy their next game. They deserve all of that, and you know, they can't get away with it. They can't be seen to get away with it because they need to be made an example of. So other developers look at them and look at crowdfund and look at alpha funding and early access, which are great models for certain specific kinds of game.
Yeah. And
developers who have a plan and stick to the plan and communicate the plan. But hopefully, you know, there needs to be an example. They need to be put on a pike outside Steam, and people need to look at it and say, actually think about what they're doing. And consumers need to look at it and think there are risks inherent to this, and we should only do it like one time out of 10 for any project that we're excited about in early access. It's a sad and sorry little situation. It's
another omnishambles.
Yeah, I wonder how Massive Chalice is coming on. But yeah, the fact is, like, they're not the worst early access developer out there. Like, there is a product that resembles a game at the end of it, and they didn't represent features. They didn't misrepresent features that are present in that build.
Very true.
Aren't present, I say, in that build. But yeah, they need to be made an example of. They need to be absolutely slapped down for this, because no one should be able to get away with this now. Not even you, Tim.
No, and the thing is,
yeah, I'll go for it.
The thing is, like, we can put that in context with a massive studio, right? Who knew when to quit, feasibly.
Absolutely.
Like, because sort of we've had Double Fine basically go, "Oh shit, we're lost. Just release it. No one will see. No one will know." And then on the sort of flip side, we have Blizzard, who this week announced the cancellation of Project Titan, the MMO project that had been in development for 7 years, simply because they couldn't, well, as they put it, they couldn't find the fun.
Yeah.
We were getting lost. We were in the weeds. We had to shut it down. The importance of knowing when to quit. Oh, sorry, the discipline of knowing when to quit is important, as they said. That's quite an interesting sort of route to take as well.
Yeah, I mean, admittingly, you also have to look at the fact that they are still making all the money from World of Warcraft. I mean, probably to a lesser extent, but they still have a good number of people subscribing. And they've also got Hearthstone. Like that, which is just spinning out money.
That little card game would just...
Oh, I'm telling you. And they've got Heroes of the Storm on its way, which apparently is very good to play as well, from what I've been told. And the thing is, I mean, I've said this several times, like that the people still play World of Warcraft. All they have got to do is put the ability to play Hearthstone in World of Warcraft, and people would go back in droves because it would become like a social hub. Because everybody on your server, you could see everyone, you could like go into towns and go, hey, let's go play some Hearthstone. It'd be great. I just want to throw that out there. But yes, anyway, yeah, at the heart of it, they knew when to quit and haven't done it. So I'd be interested to hear more about what it actually was, frankly, because there's a lot of rumors going around. But yeah, in respect, I mean, they also have all the money, so they can afford to go, 7 years work, we'll just put that away now. Non-fair.
Yeah, I mean, there was a sort of Kodsky report about what the game actually was. Apparently, it was like a future sort of real world. It was more like Defiance almost. Like it was sort of fighting against a sort of alien invasion in this big MMO world that spanned a few continents and the US and Europe, and that you could have day jobs and craft and do all the things. And there was a sort of like a shadow world that you could enter, and that had like death matches. It was basically PvP.
Yeah.
And with various classes, like apparently the classes include like juggernauts and jumpers and rangers and titans. And it was a living, connected world full of shops and NPCs, and yeah, it's a good idea. But if they couldn't find the fun. And I realised that I've had my headset up I've had my microphone up.
I thought you were just like doing some sort of robot thing. It was fine.
Yeah, no,
connection.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I've just suddenly realised I've done that thing again. I flipped up my headset to.
But yes, anyway, yes.
But yeah, if they can't find the fun, it's fair enough. And it's as you pointed out, when that Sony Santa Monica project was cancelled. Yes, it's a shame that we'll never get to play this thing. And yes, it's a shame that so many resources were spent on it. But if it's not fun, there is no point throwing bad money after good, is there?
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, you look at it this way: if they'd have carried on, we might have ended up with another Firefall.
Yeah.
No, that's me being serious. Like that, we could have ended up with Firefall, and nobody wants that. Not even Firefall wants to be Firefall, frankly.
It's like a testament as well to sort of Blizzard's power and stability that they're able to say that after 7 years and like God knows how many resources. And this Titan was looking, well, we didn't really know much about it, but like the noises coming out was saying this is going to be seriously ambitious. We're planning some serious resources into this. And for Activision Blizzard to turn around and go, no, we're putting the plug after all this time. Instead of what might be thought to be a kind of more financially sound route, perhaps, in kind of just releasing something that might make some of the money back, like to be able to pull the plug and say no.
Yeah, I mean
that's testament to just how stable things are.
Well, it's the same with Insomniac with Girl with a Stick. It's a very similar situation. Like they had this game that sounded really ambitious, apparently looked really, really good, but Ted Price said very much the same thing. The fun wasn't there, and so they pulled the plug.
And I like it when developers have the balls to do that, because when people get behind an idea, the hype train starts rolling, and it sort of gets out. It can get out of your hands a little bit, but yeah, to be able to turn and say, no, guys, I'm really sorry about this, but it's just not right. It's just not there. Like I don't want you to be paying money for this. Like we're not going to make a product that we're proud of in the end, and that takes balls. And
it does.
I like
that's fine. And more to the point. As well, like it's been in development for 7 years. I mean, by now the tech must be getting pretty ancient anyway.
Yeah.
They probably have to invest a huge amount into additional tech development, and then have to try and translate their existing content, even to a new engine. It's just, yeah, you're right. It's just cut it.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, and to be honest, all I need really, what I'd like is just a wholesale attempt to update World of Warcraft's graphics, and then bring out an expansion primarily aimed at relatively lower level players, because all the expansions have been out, like released for existing
They did
players.
that with Cataclysm.
Yeah, I'd like to see them do that again. Like next to a big.
That ain't happening anytime soon. No.
Yeah, I know, but I'd like to see them try and do that again with a graphical update and just say, "Hey, new players, like get in here."
Yeah, well, I mean, they have done sort of. Well, they've done a sort of similar thing like that for Warlords of Draenor. Like they're updating all of the old races, like graphics and animations and stuff like that for the upcoming release. And they've also said, oh, if you pre-order, you also get a jump to level 80, I think it is, or 90, whatever the current limit is. 90. It is 90. Yeah, jump straight to level 90, so you can experience all of the new stuff with a new character. So,
and I think that's a great. I think that's a great idea. I think they can definitely get. World of Warcraft is great. There's a reason why
it is solid.
There's a reason why so many people try and copy it and fail, because it's the daddy.
It is.
Like they can, and I'm convinced they can get a whole new influx of players into it, especially because you've got to believe they're going to start drawing them in from Hearthstone, because they'll, and especially in Heroes of the Storm as well. They're perfectly placed to do it.
Yep, I absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, and then they can bring out WoW 2.
Nah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the week. That's the Game Buzz this week. Do stay tuned to the site. We're gonna have a lot of stuff coming over the next week or two. Shadow of Mordor arrives next week. We're gonna have stuff on that. We're gonna have stuff on FIFA. We're gonna have stuff on Sherlock Holmes. I'm so excited to have the Bayonetta review coming out in over 2 weeks. God damn it. Let me talk about this game, Nintendo. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff on site over the next couple of weeks. Be sure to check out Game Night, because Guild Wars 2 is still free up until October the 1st. So yeah, make sure you get into that, because yeah, after a year of nagging, I've finally gotten to grips with it, and it's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. So make sure you check out those videos.
And refreshing.
Carl's healthy pits were seriously disgusting.
Love it.
Hell yeah! Join the MCIS, guys.
Join the MCIS. But yes, that's the Game Buzz for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Do hit subscribe if you're listening to this on YouTube. And until next time, cheerio.
Bye-bye.
Bye.